Hi everyone, it's Pete Buttigieg here sending warm greetings from South Bend, and I'm so thrilled and honored to be joining you gathered for the 2020 Summer Conference of the Florida LGBTQ+ Democratic Caucus. I want to thank my friend and your fantastic president, Stephen Gaskell, for inviting me to speak with you today. Of course, under ideal circumstances, we'd be coming together in person, but I'm really encouraged to see how you and others have found new and innovative ways to support Democratic candidates, and to see you doing the critical work to build and strengthen our party. In the face of this pandemic, we are confronting some of the biggest challenges that have already been bearing down on our country. The disempowerment of workers, racial disparities in healthcare access, the destruction of international agreements, the treatment of scientific fact like a matter of political choice. These problems have become more urgent in this time. And one thing we know for sure is that the path to post-COVID recovery won't be about returning to the old normal. Our recovery will include decisions that shape America for the rest of our lives. We won't simply be reinstating all of the political and economic realities that we knew before, with the same weaknesses and the same winners and losers. We shouldn't try. Since many of our old habits can't survive the pandemic, it means we have a chance to overcome some of the problems they created. Right now, we can create new strengths and build a better future. More than any moment since the New Deal, this is a time of opportunity and obligation to create a new and better way to make life better for the era to come. This is a season, I'm convinced, for imagination, for local as well as national leadership, for boldness and empathy, and that's why these elections matter so much. Today, in spite of all of our problems, there are a lot of reasons to be very optimistic. An American majority stands ready now to pass bold progressive ideas, to raise the minimum wage, enact universal background checks, invest in clean energy, tackle systemic racism. An American majority respects LGBTQ equality and demands this country live up to the truth that Black lives matter. During these years, also record numbers of people from all backgrounds, underrepresented in the past, have run for office and won. We know what we're up against, but I also believe we have a chance to make the positive case for what our party is for, and share a vision for what America could look like under a Biden-Harris administration. I can't wait for a President Biden and Vice President Harris to usher in a new era of belonging, competence, decency, and empathy in the Oval Office. And even though we're living through a painful and challenging and sometimes dark time, I also find a lot of hope looking at the arc of our own community's ongoing march toward full equality. We've made enormous gains, changing hearts and changing laws, to recognize that who you love or how you identify should have no impact on your right to marry or have a job or get an apartment. The cultural and political shift is underway. It is rapid. Think about how my own candidacy for the presidency would have been considered laughable, not just 50 years ago, but probably 5 years ago. And yet we know there's so much more to do. An epidemic of violence against Black trans women in this country. Conversion therapy that has to be banned everywhere. This administration's continued attacks on the trans community, from service members to healthcare, which must come to an end. And I'm hopeful we can make sure that that happens. A Biden-Harris administration will pass the Equality Act, build a government that reflects the diversity of this country. That, of course, includes LGBTQ+ Americans of every background. There are 11 million eligible LGBTQ+ voters across this country and tens of millions of pro-equality voters. If we make sure everybody is able to vote, and does, we will win up and down the ballot. And that's why your work, especially in Florida, is so exceptionally important. I think about my younger self, believing that something about me might mean that I would never get to serve in uniform or in office. And I think about everything that's changed. And I think about the fact that those changes have been swift, but they are not yet secure. Think about everything that's changed from 2010 to 2020, for better and for worse. And then think about what we might change by 2030, beginning right now. We could make an era in this country where everyone knows that they belong. And you're a part of that. So thanks for everything that you're doing to spread the word, to build the party, to make sure we get the leadership we need, to help restore, as Vice President Biden says, the soul of this nation, and prepare for the era that's going to come next. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person as soon as it's possible to do it safely. But in the meantime, thanks for all you're doing. Stay safe, stay well, and stay motivated.